I'm going to turn it over to the president and CEO of the Utah Olympic Legacy Foundation, Colin Hilton. Colin Hilton serves in that role, but also with the organizing committee. He's the one that oversees all of our venue planning for 2034, and he's also been involved in organizing these meetings over the last couple of days. Two key meetings we're updating here today. One is the USOPC's Winter NGB planning meetings, and also the first meeting of the 2034 Sport and Venues Committee, which was held yesterday at Soldier Hollow. So with that, I'll turn it over to Colin Hilton.
If you want to step forward, that might work great for us, so we can all get our mics closer.
There we go. Well, good morning. We're excited to continue our partnership with the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee. Kelly and I have known each other for almost 20 years, and we are always looking to be a good partner here in Utah with our USOPC friends and our national governing bodies. The meetings that we're just wrapping up, 3 days of Kelly's meetings from the USOPC with all the governing bodies, to also include our Legacy Foundation and Lake Placid's training center staff. I think many people might not know or realize that the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee provides a lot of services and funding to the various national governing bodies. And Kelly and I, over the last 5 years, Kelly's been gathering all of these national governing bodies and our Legacy Foundation staff to really help plan how winter sport can be better in the United States, how we can have Team USA perform really well and improved over the various quads. And Kelly started a gathering 5 years ago, and the last 2 meetings of this group have been here in Utah, and we're just always excited to have this partnership. We meet. Yesterday we were at Soldier Hollow, today we're at the Olympic Oval, and Kelly will talk about the various topics and purpose of gathering. But it's great, and it really shows a high level of collaboration, which in winter sport being 8 national governing bodies versus the summer side, which is probably in excess of 30, we're able to gather and talk about common challenges, common shared needs, and figure out how we work together to improve performance and the pipelines of young kids in the program, so that we have lots of athletes that are from all around the world, but also with my Legacy Foundation, obviously an interest to have a lot of Utahns rise to the highest levels of the national team. So I'll just speak to specifically to the first meeting of our Sport and Venue Committee meeting of the 2034 Organizing Committee. We met at the end of yesterday on day 2 of the NGB meetings to take a conversation about sport and venues and the roles and responsibilities that this committee would look to achieve over the next 8.5 years, building up and after the 34 games. We added, in addition to the national governing bodies, all of our venue operators of all of our proposed venues, more than proposed, identified venues for 2034, and introduced the folks so that the venues meet all of our national governing bodies team, which on some cases, like Deer Valley Resort, already knows U.S. ski and snowboard really well. They host an annual Freestyle World Cup. And for others, though, it's a first introduction, and talking about things like how do we grow youth participation in sport, how do we have the venues prepared to the Olympic and Paralympic standards for 2034, and for especially the ski resort operators, we have a goal to continue venue business continuity. So, as you might guess, when we have a big Olympic event at a ski resort in the middle of winter, that's potentially a big interruption. So this committee will explore, especially with our venue partners, how to keep regular ski days going? How do we do an event and try to keep the revenues going at the resorts as well? And that's good for all of us. Other topics are Olympic solidarity. There are funds that the IOC, the IPC, and the international federations that look to have countries developing in winter sport. How do we work with our governing bodies to coordinate other teams coming to Utah to utilize facilities like a speed skating oval or a ski jumps or bobsled track? And that is obviously our welcoming nature in Utah. We want to invite others to use this, and we coordinate that with our various national governing bodies. We also talk about a variety of others, but that's just a sampling of that. And what I'd like to do is turn the time now over to Kelly Skinner, who is, you're gonna have to give your full name because you keep changing it over the years.
Understand.
Yes.
So I'm Kelly Skinner.
Audio here with that sound in the background. Is that
I'm Kelly Skinner, Vice
Is there
President.
any way we could move this? Just because that sound's going to
Tom.
I'm just wondering if the sound.
Or can we just put the Zamboni on hold for a minute?
Yeah, it's
He
just
can't because we have the pro team training at 10:30, so they have to sand the ice. They'll be done by 10:15, but
Is there any chance we could maybe move out there? Or I don't know how you guys feel about it. If this audio is going to be okay for you? You're okay?
yeah, it's
Okay,
fine.
I'll text you. Give you a picture.
There we
We
go.
can do one-on-ones after. I'd like to stay here,
Yeah.
but we'll pick it up after the meeting.
Okay, so
Hey, Kelly.
yeah, thanks. Beautiful. Kelly Skinner, Vice President of Olympic and Paralympic High Performance at the USOPC. So, first off, we're so excited for 2034. We'd like to be coming next week, candidly. February is coming really fast, and we have the games coming up, and I'll talk about 2026 in a moment. But what's going on here in Utah is absolutely incredible. I'm very fortunate. I got to be here in 2002. I've been able to come back annually to see what's happening. The work of the Utah Olympic Legacy Foundation, the people of the state of Utah, they in, people with disabilities, that they're giving an opportunity to winter sport. That's amazing. What's happening for able-bodied kids is incredible, and that's the true future. So when we think about 2034, those are the kids that are going to be the ones that are going to be on the field of play here at home, and we can't wait to see that come to fruition. We're excited about the partnership with Colin. I'll talk about Aaron here in a moment and our relationship with the national governing bodies. So that's why we're here right now. We have a challenge within winter sport in the United States. It isn't always about winning, but it's about being successful. And we have had a little bit of a challenge in our last few games of where we've landed on the medal table. And what I mean by that is we want to be at the very best. When we come here in 2034, we want Team USA athletes to shine. And we know that's important to everybody. We love the journey, we love the competitive spirit, we want a fair competition, but we want Team USA to be successful on that field of play. And there's a lot that it takes to get there, especially in a nation that is not naturally a winter sport nation. We're a summer sport nation. So when you have hotbeds of opportunity like right here, how we capitalize on that is really critical. But then how we build this community of 8 national governing bodies, along with UOLF, along with the USOPC, to say, what do we want to do? What are the opportunities in front of us? How might we go through that? So that's what we've been working on these last couple of days. Is we had come together, as Colin mentioned, 5 years ago. We built out a plan together to say, here are the things that we really want to get focused on. Coaching, athlete development pathways, and how athletes can get into the system and engage. Tech and innovation. We're an unbelievable country in that space. Let's maximize that for Team USA. And then how we think about deploying the sciences in support of athletes. So in the sciences, nutrition, physiology, strength and conditioning, what do we do to really help the athlete on their journey to be successful? So we had to build a really cohesive plan together. Like every good plan, you got to keep looking at it and refresh it. And now, then we got the great words that we were hoping to hear when we were in Paris, And Paris was amazing for Team USA on the summer side, quick little summer sport thing there. But we also heard the words formally, like, here we go, we're coming to Salt Lake City in 2034, which added energy. And I will tell you, that announcement came that night. We got on the phone with our winter sport colleagues that were not in Paris and said, we're coming in 2034. Let's start talking about what we want to do. 10 years out. Let's start talking about how this could be a successful team for Team USA. The enthusiasm on that call was incredible about the fact that we now had heard the words we'd all hoped to hear, that we're coming to LA. We're coming to, we're going to talk about LA. Sorry about that, everybody, but yeah, coming to Salt Lake City. But what we were able to capitalize on here is a couple things. We've got 2026 coming. We're excited about where Team USA is set up for 2026 and the opportunity in front of us. And we believe Team USA will have a good opportunity to be successful in Milan Cortina. What's going to be really awesome is being back in open games. The last couple haven't been that way, and so an open games is going to feel really good to people. Then we'll go to LA, and we're going to really hope that that launching pad from LA, and I know we have other things to do between LA and when we get here, but that launching pad of success in LA will spring us into what we want to do here in 2034 in partnership with everybody else. So love what's happening here in the state, and it's taken the whole state to make that happen. We understand that. It's not just Colin, but his team has been incredible. The people of Utah have rallied. The sport, every time I come here, something sport is happening. Last night I watched a bunch of kids up at Soldier Hollow getting on the biathlon range. Right? It's incredible to see what's happening here. And that's the stuff that brings me joy. I happen to have a little 13-year-old running around, and kids having access to opportunity is huge. If they rise up to be ones that we get to watch in 2034, that's special. Being an Olympian or a Paralympian, that's a tough road to cross. But getting into sport, being involved in sport, experiencing what winter sport's all about is special. So appreciate the work that's been done here. And one of those key partners to get it done is USA Bobsled and Skeleton. So I'm going to introduce Aaron McGuire, the CEO at USA Bobsled Skeleton.
Thanks, Kelly. Yeah, Aaron McGuire, 1A, A-R-O-N, CEO of USA Bobsled and Skeleton. So I want to talk a little bit about an athlete in particular, Keisha Love. So she is an athlete from Utah, grew up not too far from here where we are right now. Ran high school track and field, a state champion, went off and competed in the sport of track and field in college. During her sophomore or junior year, her college coach started talking to her about the opportunity within the sport of bobsled. And for us in bobsled and skeleton, we rely on talent transfer. Athletes that compete in other sports, track and field, football, soccer, softball, and find the sport of bobsled and skeleton or the sport of bobsled or skeleton later on within their career. She was inspired to try out for the bobsled team. She came out during COVID and started pushing up bobsled and quickly rose through the ranks of being one of our top push athletes. She competed in 2022 in Beijing, China as a push athlete. From that experience, she was compelled to continue to compete. And so she felt like she wanted to make the transition from being a push athlete to being a pilot. And so that next year, she went from the back of the sled to the front of the sled, driving that sled. And so throughout the time, she's been continually getting better as she represents the United States. This past year, at the World Championships, she won the monobob, which is one pilot, one athlete in a bobsled. And so she went quickly from being a high school track and field athlete, collegiate track and field athlete, to being a world champion in the world. And that's tremendous. And she could not have done that without the facilities, without the support that takes place here in Salt Lake City and Park City. And it's the facilities that provide those opportunities. As Kelly said, in winter sport, we're limited with the facilities, and so to have these venues, the support teams that are in place are critical for the success of Team USA. And for an athlete to be able to wear a red, white, and blue uniform that says USA on the back is the greatest honor they can achieve. And so as we think about what are we doing between now and 2034 to provide these opportunities to help raise awareness, it's an incredible opportunity because for us as a talent transfer athlete, those athletes that are going to be representing the United States in 2034, many of them haven't even touched a sled yet. So essentially the sky is the limit. And so what we want to do is continue to raise that awareness. let athletes know that representing the Team USA at the games, at the Olympics and Paralympic Games, that's an opportunity that they can do that they may not have ever thought about. And so we talk a lot about the venues and the facilities, and that's just one piece of it there. We're fortunate to have the world-class facilities and venues that are here in Utah, but it's much more than just the venues themselves. It's the people that maintain it. It's people like Colin that are in leadership positions. It's the managers that are on site. It's the coaches. It's the volunteers. It's the parents that are driving the children, their kids, to and from practice that ultimately make that contribute to the community, that contribute to the culture of what is taking place here and the focus that takes place on winter sport. As Kelly mentioned, we've got the 8 national governing bodies, and each national governing body is responsible for promoting the sport in the United States, developing athletes. They're involved in youth involvement, recreation, masters involvement in a lot of ways. And so it is the collaboration of the 8 national governing bodies, plus the USOPC, plus the Legacy Foundation that's ultimately going to allow our athletes in the United States to be successful, to continue to be involved in winter sport and grow winter sport within the United States. Kelly talked about the success of Paris. We've got the success of LA coming up. We know it's going to raise awareness of Olympic and Paralympic sport in the United States. And we look at 2034 as not the destination, it's not the finish line, but it's the springboard of what can happen, what can take place in the next 20 years, the next 30 years, the next 40 years, in terms of raising awareness, getting more athletes, getting more people involved in winter sport there. And at the end of the day, not everybody can be an Olympic or Paralympic athlete, but it's the participation, it's the involvement, it's the values that are involved in the games that everyone can live by. And it's getting kids out of the living room, away from the TV, off the devices, outside, skiing, snowboarding, trying bobsled, trying skeleton, doing curling, speed skating, across the board, and that's going to have a positive impact in the community, on the nation, and on what we do globally. Yeah. So thank you.
Do you have any questions for any of them, or would you like to break into one-on-ones?
Let me ask you a couple.
Sure, go for it.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, this is an opportunity to review the status of the venues, right? With 2034 in mind. Obviously, you're really super focused on the Lawn Cortina, right? But what are you seeing in terms of what the OPOG needs to do for these facilities between now and 2034?
Well, I'd say the Legacy Foundation has done a tremendous job of maintaining the facilities since 2002. We're extremely fortunate for that. We've been training, athletes have been training since 2002. We've been hosting competitions here, national competitions, World Cup competitions. In 2029, the bobsled and skeleton world championships will be returning to Utah. And so the maintenance has been incredible. But it's not just about maintaining the venues and the facilities. There have been tremendous upgrades since 2002. And as we look towards 2034, we're fortunate because of the status, because of how the facilities have been maintained and upgraded, that there is work to be done, but that's only going to take it to the next level.
That work that's to be done, does that already fall within the current budget, or would that be an extra budgetary consideration from each committee as they view the facilities and perhaps make alterations? Who pays for that?
That's a good question for Colin. The good news is we've been making these improvements and enhancements to the venues over the last 10 years. And so we've taken an approach where the end of life of certain things, like the roof of this Olympic Oval, we replaced that about 3 years ago. The refrigeration systems of the bobsled skeleton track, we just replaced that about 2 years ago. So we don't have any major improvements or any building to do to host these games, and that has been purposeful.
But what about the committees and their abilities to say, look, we need some alterations here? What power do the committees have to actually say, we need this and this is going to cost this much?
Yeah, and that part of the Sport and Venue Committee is to actually address what are the standards that the Olympic and Paralympic Games and the international federations that regulate each of the sports, what are those new elements that we don't have? Some of the things are like timing and scoring systems that you have to kind of update every 3 years anyways. So there's different evolutions of different elements in each of the venues, and we work hand in hand with the national governing bodies because they're here training and competing on that, and we identify what those are and when do we take care of those. So we have a very rigorous schedule of capital improvements that we have been doing for the last 10 years, and we have our forecast for now through 34. And as some of you know, we've been getting help from the state of Utah to help us with those. We're super appreciative of that, but a lot of the venues are also taking care of that themselves, like the ski resorts. And so it's a combination. It's very different by venue, but part of this committee's role is to identify at each of our identified competition venues what are those standards, and are we on track to make sure they're at their optimal perspective or optimal standard. Kelly and Aaron in particular mentioned the 2029 Bobsled World Championships. We needed to redo the roof and shading system and actually put the lights under the shades versus big area lights. And so we go, we got the 2029 World Championships, let's make sure we get that done by 2028, and therefore have it ready to go and for the 2029 World Championships. So in usual Utah fashion, we are identifying the needs and getting them done, not 6 months before they're needed. We're doing it 3 to 4 years ahead of time to make sure we actually get used to it, and the athletes doing a World Cup ahead of that time get used to the lighting and the different systems, and we think that is very good for winter sport.
In terms of state support going forward, do you have requests budgeted into making these types of improvements, like the shading on the track, for example?
Yes,
And can you talk about
and again, it varies by venue, and I don't know every number off the top of my head, but we had a schedule, and we still have a schedule of improvements, and we have a set amount of $3 million a year that is coming from the state of Utah. There are some one-time asks that we will have to go each legislative session to ask for the items that are bigger than that annual amount. And we have one more tranche of ask to the state of Utah that we're likely to do in the 2026 or 2027 session.
Any idea how much we're looking at?
Don't know off the top of my head, because a part of this is working with not just the Legacy Foundation, but the venue partners of Provo City and West Valley, and those are going through studies right now. And you'll have to reach out to each of those cities to talk about what their improvements are and what asks they are asking of the state as well.
To be sure that there will be more asks of Utah taxpayers in terms of improving these venues potentially.
I want to be very clear, what the state is doing is supporting winter sport development in these facilities, not specifically for the games. So we have a culture of winter sport, of hosting annual World Cups and training athletes, and that's part of the everyday need. That's where the state is helping out. We have a commitment as putting on my organizing committee hat, we are not looking for state or local tax dollars to help for the specific cost of running the 2034 games. And that is a very big distinction that I want to make sure.
But if these are extras that need to be improvements, that would be a separate ask, would it not?
Again, there is repair and replacement of existing infrastructure, and that's I can speak to the Legacy Foundation venues of the Olympic Oval, Olympic Park, and Soldier Hollow. Those, we have a schedule, and those are in a list that the state has been helping us with. The municipalities of West Valley City and Provo City as examples, they are doing studies to identify what those are, and they will have separate asks to the state about that.
And the benefit of keeping those up, aside from hosting the 24 Olympics,
Yep.
what can you talk a little bit about what the kind of public benefit is?
Yeah, so I'll just use Provo, Mayor Kafusi and Scott Henderson, who are looking after how that venue is operated. They have grown their youth engagement in winter sport to the point where they are, needing potentially improvements that help them manage the volume of people coming through. There's a lot more wear and tear on those facilities, and that's a good thing. I like to quote, we're very unique in the Olympic world where our facilities not only are 100% being used today that were used in '02, but they're much busier. And for specifically the Legacy Foundation, we're 4 times busier in use of a place like the Olympic Oval here than we were right after '02. So that wear and tear and that everyday use, we look at these as community recreation centers just as much as they are Olympic training sites. And that's important, and that is where the support of helping us develop a culture of winter sport has been very appreciated.
What about the USOPC and the NGBs? Do they contribute to some of these improvements as well in terms of not just 2034, but the training and the competition your elite athletes do?
What we look to get involved with the UOLF on and in support of the national governing bodies, if there is support that's needed around something like a pad system to keep athlete training safe, or help we can give within a strength and conditioning facility, we're looking to add in there. We're not obviously in the part of the venue maintenance and keeping the venues up, but helping to bring things in combination with the governing bodies and with the UOLF to say, here's something that we can help fund to bring in as a safety and additional athlete training measure. Those are the opportunities that we look at.
How much of the improvements that you see need to be made are structural versus technological?
Yeah, that is not my area of expertise. But what I will say to you, and I know you've heard it, but
it's 24% technical.
Okay, there you go. There you go.
76.
We're always looking at, we don't get caught up in structural things, and what I will say, it's very refreshing to be coming to Salt Lake City in 2034 and not be worrying about, are all the bricks and mortar going to be together? We all read stories about upcoming games where there's a concern, are the venues going to be done? In our view, we are ready to go. So structurally, that's about how far I can go. When we look at technology and other pieces, we're always trying to find ways that we can give Team USA a competitive advantage. As we look at the technology, the innovation that can be brought in. So we're always looking, and right now we don't have any specific plans anywhere, but we're always looking and seeing what might we bring in. Colin referenced timing systems. How might we bring in some timing systems or aiding in timing systems? How might we bring in some video overlay that we can come in and look at so we can help the athletes with where they are on the ice and how they may want to position themselves in racing? We're looking at those types of things. We don't have specific initiatives right now, but those are the types of opportunities that we evaluate. But the good news about me saying we don't have anything right now is that we feel like what's in place is in a good place for what Team USA needs today. What Team USA is going to need in 9 years is going to be different, but we will evolve together as we get closer to 2034.
And I would just say one of the things we even just talked about yesterday in one of our collaborations were the partnerships that we do in Utah to introduce the USOPC and national governing bodies to our other local Utah partners. And so University of Utah was a hot topic yesterday because they're already a national medical partner to Team USA, but as a research university, they have so many other areas that we're like, ooh, we're going to introduce you to XYZ, and they have like an R&D department for Paralympic adaptive sport that is unreal. Incredible. And so those kind of introductions is what Utah does really well, of finding partners in the community that can help our national governing bodies and the overall development of growing winter sport. And that's just one example. I don't know, Kelly.
No, you hit it. Yeah. And it's exactly what Colin went there, and I appreciate that. Things that are happening, whether it's you or in other places within the community where people want to help out and say, hey, we can provide or help you here, we're going to be looking at those as we keep going forward. As soon as they said the words, the way in which we can start working together in broader ways will develop and materialize even more. So it's exciting to see truly how the state is coming together and saying, how do we lean in and what can we do to help here?
Guys, I'm gonna wrap it up here because they need to get back into a meeting. Unless anyone has any one-on-ones you want to do alongside,
I actually
we
do.
need to cut them loose.
I was just going to ask you about the fact that we've got so many years ahead for these games, unlike a lot of Olympics, and what that means in terms of the planning you're doing. You've got the luxury of time, and that's good, but it can also be bad, right? If you wait too long to get going.
Yeah, I'll jump in there really quick. Then Colin may have some things you want to say. We were blessed with time with LA the first time, and the learning from that is we took the time for granted. So to your point, the blessing and the curse. What we have with the time that we have with the Utah games coming is lessons learned from how quickly we need to be starting to talk. The fact that we sat in a sport and venue committee meeting yesterday, middle of July of 2025, talking about games in 2034 is incredible. And it gives us a chance to have the conversations that Colin referenced and to think about the things that you're asking me about right now. How might we do this, or what might we need there to help support Aaron and his athletes as well as the other 7 national governing bodies. So the big learning is don't waste the time given. Sometimes you think 9 years, well, let's put our feet up, we got some things that we can do. Not true. We have a lot to do between now and then, but the good news is the ball has already started rolling. We're not talking about, you know what, maybe we should form up this committee or maybe we should have some conversations. We're in it. And in some cases, we're already 5 years into it without even knowing 2034 was coming. But we're in it, and now we're building on it to help us make us facilitate the opportunity to be even more successful.
I have a quick venue question. Some Olympic venues are having to actually switch. I believe it was bobsled venue in Cortina. Snow can be an issue. What are the contingency plans should, God forbid, there not be snow in Utah to bring these events about? What are the contingency plans? Are you looking at Colorado? Or are you looking at other places?
We look at having really efficient snowmaking systems if we don't have natural snow. And that is what we're building in the capacity of the ski resorts at our Nordic Center in Soldier Hollow. We hope to get natural, but we have the capacity to make enough of a base of snow for a cross-country ski trail that will last till April. So those kind of dynamics are just good planning to take and adapt to what the weather gives us. But that is part of the technology side of what we're doing at facilities that allow us to have very efficient snowmaking systems that can actually make snow above freezing temperatures and those kind of dynamics. So that is our we're not going anywhere else. We have everything within an hour of the Olympic Village, and we're just excited because we have partners that we know will face the challenge and figure out whatever is thrown at us.
Thanks so much. I have one question for you privately, if that's okay?
Perfect.
Yeah, we need break. Thank you, everybody. If you need any one-on-ones, let's grab them. I do need to get them back up to the meeting.
Thank you
very
so
much.
much. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.